All right, music fans, welcome. Harmless Dave here on the Harmless Dave channel, talking about real music and doing it in real time for a few real people out here, just like you right there and just like me right here. So, before I talk about Tesla and how, after all this time, these guys are struggling financially, they're trying to make ends meet out on the road, and I blame the 90s. I blame the 90s. They blame some other things, but, and obviously the way the music industry changed where you don't purchase anything anymore, you just stream something. Maybe you put up with a commercial or two to stream it, but streaming revenue is really just like pennies on the dollar. Now, before I talk about those things, which I talk about quite often, here is a great band you should check out called Danger Zone. Now, this might not be your cup of tea. You might not like the singer. I've had people complain about some of the stuff that I showcase here. I'm just trying to give people some alternative listening. If you're tired of listening to your old rock bands, there are other bands that aren't old that play a certain style of music. These guys are more glam rock oriented. Think Cinderella or Rat. Okay, so if you like Rat or Cinderella, uh, Danger Zone from Italy, courtesy of Pride and Joy Music. There are a number of songs on this that I think are radio ready, but of course they won't be on the radio. That's silly. That's silly. Tesla still trying to get on the radio after 40 years, or 40 years of being in the business, plus 14 million albums sold. They were talking to Sonic Perspectives guitarist Frank Hannon, and he says this is pretty sad. The reason his band constantly tours is that they need the money. They need the money. He says, we're a lot older now, and we have to tour in order to make a living. And he says, we have to tour a lot, not just a little bit. He says, we're not rich. We never became millionaires. He admitted, noting that it's also the reason Tesla has begun releasing singles instead of albums. He says, we still have to pay our bills, and so it makes more sense. The philosophy of going out on tour and writing a song while that song is fresh, putting it out, and then enjoying it at that time. Now, he's talking about how they put out, I believe, 4 different versions of a track they recorded a couple of years ago, actually put out on an album. The title track to the album, or the EP, is all about love. Now, if you haven't heard it, it actually came out a couple of years ago, but they've recorded an electric version, an acoustic rendition, a hybrid mix, and also a captivating live performance of the song. Really, if you're a Tesla fan, this band has always been a great live band. Jeff, the lead singer, wrote the lyrics. It's a message of hope to the world to take care of each other and share the love, a time-honored Tesla songwriting tradition. The EP also has some classical guitar work by Frank, actually maybe composed by Frank anyway, and it's called From the Heart, and a live version of, get this, Walk Away by the James Gang. You know what I like about Tesla is they've always loved the older music. They've always had one foot in the old school classic rock era. Obviously, when they recorded Signs, that was an indication that they were this almost hard rock hippie band. And I don't know. I always kind of liked Tesla. I mean, if you like Aerosmith, you're probably going to like Tesla, the way I look at it. But Tesla is still different. They've got their own vibe, and they unplug as well as any band out there, and they still sound pretty good. All right, I'm not saying the lead singer, was it Jeff, sounds like he did years ago, but you know, their sound kind of allows for a rough vocal or something that's a little raspy, and Jeff Keith, the vocalist, has always had kind of a raspy thing going on, and it's a little bit more pronounced as everybody ages. But their longevity is about the fact that people want to hear them. And in my humble opinion, I think the 1990s helped destroy Tesla and so many other bands. What's weird is Tesla wasn't this generic hair metal band. They were an old school rock and hard rock band. Um, you may want to lump them in with some other bands of that era, but they hit a brick wall in the 90s. And it's just weird. Here's my philosophy on this. And I know people disagree with me about the 90s, but you could have had all of this music kind of coexisting. Let it just kind of battle each other for supremacy. In other words, if you're a hair metal fan and you want your songs on the radio, you could still listen to the grunge stuff that comes out right after or comes on the radio right next to it. I just thought it was kind of weird how we have to get rid of all this music. We got to put it over here. I mean, there are stories of them tearing down Danger, Danger posters at the record label and papering them over with Pearl Jam posters. I've heard stories of, hey, you got to get these posters down because we're going in a new direction. And I know it's like 30 something years ago now. It doesn't seem that long ago to me, but music changed and then it hasn't changed back. Like melody, cheesiness, some people will call it cheesiness. I don't. I think it's, songs that are well written. And by the way, you can call Tesla kind of cheesy because they record songs that you can sing along to. Love song, right? You could sing along to these great songs, and not all of them are singable. Some of the more hard rock stuff is a little bit less singable, but a good song, the essence of a good song, will always show up if you play it on acoustic guitar or on an acoustic piano, for that matter, and you listen to it, the bones of that song are so good that no matter how you play it, in fact, the less you do with it, in other words, if you can play just the basic song itself and it sounds good, that's the sign of a really great song where you don't have to bring in all of this other instrumentation to kind of puff it up and make it sound better. No, a good song always sounds great on acoustic guitar or any other types of acoustic instruments. A great example of that would be the unplugged version of Layla by Eric Clapton, which redefined the song and brought the song to a new generation. And it's like this super crazy electric guitar song turned into almost like this laid back, shuffly kind of thing, which just is really a testimony to great songwriting. So Tesla, a good band with strong songwriting, and their longevity is really just a testament to their fine musicianship and their classic sound, which has endured all these years. And so it's too bad that they haven't been recognized by anybody. Now, I'm not saying they should go into the Hall of Fame because there are a few bands that should go in before Tesla. But considering what's gone in recently, yeah. I mean, there probably wouldn't be Tesla if there wasn't like Aerosmith, okay? But Tesla, again, is still a different variety than Aerosmith. And I think they are somewhat more acoustic and almost a little folky at times in some of their stuff, but they kind of combine it all. So anyway, a lot of people have forgotten about Tesla. They didn't make a lot of money, and the reason they're out on the road is because they have to pay the bills. Now, one other thing that they talk about here is the pandemic, which I found to be fascinating, and how the pandemic had a heavy financial impact on the band, and they're only slowly starting to come out of it. We're talking 4 years ago, people, and they're just slowly coming out of it. They say here, we took such a huge loss being grounded for 2 years that we're still barely pulling ourselves out of the hole financially, he said. But that being said, the blessing to it is that when we focus on a song like their recent single, All About Love, or 2022's Time to Rock, and just focus on that and go out and play, it's just better. Frank Hannon says. It's like eating a meal as soon as you get it off the stove and you put it on your plate, man, that's when it tastes good. So it's kind of interesting that they've turned to singles instead of albums, but the days of taking a year off and arguing in a studio over 10 songs that aren't really going to get their full due are over, he said. Oh, that's really well put, because these guys will work tirelessly on new material. And in the old days, that new material would almost certainly be on the radio. Today, you're lucky if people even find out about the fact that you've put out new material. It's just sad. As an older dude, I gotta say, I'm not digging this Brave New World. I'm just not. And there's got to be a way to turn the tide on this. There's got to be a way to bring back radio that respects the music we listened to and then adds to it with new material, either by new artists or new material by older bands. If you haven't gone and listened to Modern Retro Radio, modernretroradio.com, it's an internet radio station, right? But my good friend Audi is the program director over there, and they play new stuff by people that you know. And a lot of times you'll learn, wow, so-and-so has a new... That's the first thing. You'll be like, this guy has a new album out? Really? And these guys dig. Like, they scour the internet. And they probably have all of these sites bookmarked where they can go and just check to see if there's any news about so-and-so and if they put out a new album or not. And people that you've probably just even forgotten about. They tend to find everything over there: rock, pop, soul, the whole gamut of things. And so that's one way to learn. So check that radio station out. My guess is they'll probably play the new Tesla, and I'll probably send this over to them, and they're probably already on it. So I'll put a link in the description of the video where you can find Modern Retro Radio, and also this album for purchase if you want to grab something. I don't think it'll be here in time for Christmas. Although, you know what? I think I got this on Amazon, and it was 2 days. This record label has begun to expand their distribution a little bit, Pride and Joy Music, and you'll find a lot of good stuff over there. I also have been promoting Nationwide. Nationwide is on your side, and their album called Echoes, which some people say the singer is a little but I think this is pretty good. So, and when we're complaining about singers, by the way, we got to be really careful, because a lot of this older stuff, the singers are, they're not where they used to be. And we all know this, but we put up with it because it's nostalgia and it's the music we grew up with. Now, I get it. You can ditch the whole thing. I mean, I listen to a lot of Christian music. I'll be pretty blunt with everybody. I do. And the reason I do that is because it's kind of like a top 40 thing for me. I'm hearing new stuff. I'm hearing R&B, pop, rock, folk. I've been hearing all these different styles kind of mixed together on one radio format, and that's what I grew up listening to. It was just a great melting pot of music. And then there's Red Dirt country music, which is phenomenal, honest, real, traditional, sincere. So that's the kind of stuff I tend to gravitate toward. And I can even listen to some smooth jazz. Give me a guy who plays guitar or saxophone well, and I'm very content. So I made a lot of adjustments after the 90s. I decided, okay, I'm going to go over here and listen to this music because I don't like what they're doing on rock stations. And to this day, I still don't like what they're doing on rock stations. So that's the battle for bands like Tesla, who clearly can still play and perform live, and they sound really good. So also check out their new song while you're at it. My name is Dave. Thanks for watching. Please, if you haven't subbed to the channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button. It appears toward the end of these videos. If you hit that, and then you basically are now helping. And then the other way to help the channel is through Buy Me a Coffee, and also through Patreon, which I have a bunch of patrons, and I send out videos and so forth, music suggestions, conversation type things, Sunday morning song of the day on Sunday morning, and that kind of stuff. And if I find something, I tend to post it over there and say, hey, guys, what do you think of this? And so it's a way, if you're a music fan, to kill some time. If you need to kill time. God bless everyone during this season. Remember, Jesus is the reason not only for the season, but for everything. That's one thing we all have to realize. Jesus isn't just about Christmas. Jesus is about every single day.